The story of the Odyssey is one of the greatest adventures ever told, a tale of survival, intelligence, temptation, and the unbreakable desire to return home. At its heart is Odysseus, the clever king of Ithaca, whose journey back from the Trojan War becomes a 10-year struggle against gods, monsters, and even his own weaknesses. But this is not just a story about travel. It is about endurance, identity, and what it truly means to belong somewhere. After the fall of Troy, while other Greek heroes quickly return home, Odysseus begins a journey that turns into a nightmare. From the very beginning, trouble follows him. His first stop seems harmless, but his curiosity and leadership are immediately tested. He and his men raid a city, and though they succeed, their greed causes delays. This sets the tone for everything that follows. Odysseus is brilliant, but his men often lack discipline, and that combination leads to disaster again and again. One of the earliest and most famous challenges comes when Odysseus and his crew encounter the land of the Cyclopes. There, they meet the terrifying one-eyed giant, Polyphemus. Instead of leaving quietly, Odysseus chooses to explore, driven by curiosity and pride. This decision traps him and his men inside the giant's cave. What follows is a brutal and tense battle of intelligence versus strength. Odysseus cannot overpower Polyphemus, so he uses his mind. He tricks the giant, blinds him, and escapes by hiding under sheep. It is a moment that defines Odysseus. He survives not because he is the strongest, but because he is the smartest. However, even in victory, Odysseus makes a fatal mistake. As he sails away, he reveals his real name out of pride. This act angers the gods, especially Poseidon, who is Polyphemus's father. From that moment on, Poseidon becomes Odysseus's greatest enemy, ensuring that his journey home will be filled with suffering. This is a key lesson of the story. Intelligence can save you, but pride can destroy you. As the journey continues, Odysseus faces one strange and dangerous world after another. He meets the enchantress Circe, who turns his men into animals. Again, Odysseus relies on wit and divine help to overcome her. Instead of killing him, Circe becomes an ally, but this alliance delays his journey further. Time is constantly slipping away from Odysseus, and every delay brings him farther from home emotionally, not just physically. Another unforgettable moment comes with the sirens, creatures whose voices are so beautiful that sailors lose control and crash their ships. Odysseus wants to hear their song, but survive it, so he orders his men to tie him to the mast while they block their ears. This scene perfectly captures his personality. He is curious, even dangerously so, but he also plans carefully. He walks the line between wisdom and recklessness, and that balance defines his entire journey. Then comes one of the most intense parts of the voyage, the choice between two deadly threats, Scylla and Charybdis. Odysseus must decide whether to sacrifice some men or risk losing everyone. He chooses the lesser evil, showing the harsh reality of leadership. Being a leader sometimes means making painful decisions, and Odysseus carries that burden throughout his journey. But not all dangers come from monsters. One of the biggest threats is temptation. When Odysseus and his crew reach the island of the sun god, they are warned not to touch the sacred cattle. Yet hunger and desperation drive his men to ignore this warning. As punishment, the gods destroy the ship, and Odysseus loses all his companions. This moment is tragic. It marks the point where Odysseus is completely alone. No army, no crew, no support, just a man trying to find his way home. Eventually, Odysseus reaches the island of Calypso, who falls in love with him and offers him immortality if he stays. This is one of the most powerful emotional tests in the story. Imagine being offered eternal life, free from pain and struggle. Yet Odysseus refuses. Why? Because he longs for home, for his wife, his kingdom, and his identity. This choice shows that for Odysseus, being human, with all its suffering, is more valuable than living forever without meaning. After years of being trapped, the gods finally allow him to leave. But even then, Poseidon does not make it easy. Odysseus is shipwrecked once again and barely survives. When he finally reaches land, he is exhausted, broken, and unrecognizable. This is important. He is no longer the same proud king who left for Troy. He has been changed by suffering. When Odysseus finally returns to Ithaca, the story does not end. It becomes even more intense. His home is overrun by suitors who believe he is dead and want to marry his wife, Penelope. These men are wasting his wealth and disrespecting his household. But instead of revealing himself immediately, Odysseus disguises himself as a beggar. This shows his patience and intelligence once again. He observes, plans, and waits for the perfect moment. Penelope, meanwhile, remains loyal despite years of uncertainty. She uses her own intelligence to delay the suitors, proving that she is just as clever as Odysseus. Their relationship is not just about love, it is about mutual respect and understanding. This makes their reunion even more powerful. With the help of his son, Telemachus, Odysseus finally takes action. In a dramatic and violent climax, he reveals his true identity and defeats the suitors. This is not just revenge, it is the restoration of order. His home, his identity, and his honor are finally reclaimed. But even after all this, the story reminds us that the journey has changed him forever. Odysseus is no longer just a warrior or a king. He is a survivor, a thinker, and a man who has faced the limits of human endurance. His story is not about perfection. It is about growth through struggle. The Odyssey remains timeless because its themes are universal. Everyone faces their own journey, their own obstacles, their own temptations. Like Odysseus, people must make difficult choices, learn from mistakes, and keep moving forward even when everything seems lost. It teaches that intelligence is powerful, but humility is essential. It shows that home is not just a place, it is a feeling, a connection, something worth fighting for. In the end, the story of Odysseus is not just about returning home. It is about discovering who you truly are along the way. The journey of Odysseus may seem complete once he defeats the suitors and reclaims his throne, but the Odyssey leaves us with deeper questions about what comes after victory. Returning home is not the same as restoring peace within oneself. After years of war, loss, and wandering, Odysseus must now rebuild not just his kingdom, but his identity. The man who left Ithaca was driven by glory and pride, but the man who returns carries wisdom shaped by suffering. This transformation is what makes his story so powerful. It does not end with triumph, but with reflection. One of the most fascinating aspects of the final part of the story is how trust is slowly rebuilt. Even after revealing himself, Odysseus is not immediately accepted by everyone. Penelope, despite her love and loyalty, tests him carefully. She has spent years surrounded by deception, and she needs proof that this man is truly her husband. When Odysseus finally proves his identity by describing the secret of their immovable bed, it becomes one of the most emotional moments in the entire epic. This scene highlights something essential. True relationships are built on deep understanding, not just appearances. At the same time, the kingdom of Ithaca is not instantly peaceful. The families of the slain suitors demand justice, creating tension and the threat of further conflict. This reminds us that every action, even justified ones, has consequences. Odysseus cannot simply erase the past. He must face the aftermath of his decisions. In some versions of the myth, the gods themselves intervene to stop the cycle of revenge, forcing peace upon the land. This divine intervention suggests that humans alone often struggle to break free from cycles of violence. The role of the gods throughout Odysseus's journey is also worth reflecting on. Figures like Athena constantly guide and protect him, while Poseidon creates obstacles and suffering. This balance between help and hardship raises an important idea. Success is not just about personal ability, but also about forces beyond our control. Odysseus is intelligent and brave, but without Athena's support, he might never have made it home. At the same time, Poseidon's anger shows how even a single mistake, like revealing his name to Polyphemus, can change the course of an entire life. Another powerful theme that continues beyond the main journey is the idea of storytelling itself. Odysseus survives not only through strength and intelligence, but also through his ability to tell stories. He shapes how others see him, whether when he disguises himself as a beggar or when he recounts his adventures to strangers. In many ways, his identity is built through narrative. This reflects a deeper truth about human nature. We understand ourselves and our lives through the stories we tell. Even Telemachus grows significantly by the end of the epic. At first, he is unsure and overshadowed by his father, but through his journey, he becomes confident and mature. By the time Odysseus returns, Telemachus is no longer just waiting. He stands beside him as a partner in restoring order, symbolizing the passing of strength from one generation to the next. What makes the Odyssey timeless is how real its lessons feel. Odysseus's journey reflects life itself, full of setbacks, temptations, and struggles. It shows that success is never a straight path, but persistence is what truly matters. The story also highlights the cost of ambition. Odysseus's curiosity makes him remarkable, but it also brings pain to him and his crew. This balance makes him deeply human, neither perfect nor flawed, but somewhere in between. In the end, the Odyssey is more than a story about returning home. It represents the journey everyone goes through in life, and its most powerful message is simple. The destination matters, but it is the journey that truly shapes who we become.